It was referred to as the crime of the century. On May 21st, 1924, Leopold and Loeb put their plan for the perfect murder into action. They obtained a rental car and obscured its license plates. They then drove to the Kenwood neighborhood of Chicago in search of their victim. By happenstance, they settled on 14-year-old Bobby Franks, who was Loeb's neighbor and his second cousin. After being lured into the car, Loeb, who was sitting behind Bobby, struck him several times in the head with a chisel, then dragged him into the back seat and gagged him, where he died. They burned Bobby's face and genitals with acid to obscure his identity, then disposed his body in a culvert in Wolf Lake, Indiana. Leopold and Loeb then mailed a ransom note to the boy's father, Jacob. Unbeknownst to the killers, Bobby's body was found and identified before the ransom note was even delivered. A distinct pair of custom-made eyeglasses were discovered near the body and immediately traced back to Leopold. When questioned about them, Leopold stated he must have dropped them one day while birdwatching. And after connecting the typewriter used in the ransom note back to Leopold, 10 days after the murder, Leopold confessed, followed by Loeb. Leopold admitted that they decided to murder Bobby solely for the thrill of the experience. A thirst for knowledge is highly commendable no matter what extreme pain or injury it may inflict upon others, Leopold told a newspaper reporter. A 6-year-old boy is justified in pulling the wings from a fly if, by doing so, he learns that without wings, the fly is helpless. Both men were sentenced to life in prison. Loeb was killed by a cellmate in 1936, slashed with a razor blade 58 times. Leopold was released on parole in 1958 and later died at age 66. So what are some contributing factors to such a crime? Leopold's childhood was absent of any healthy attachments. While his father was occupied with work, his mother was sick and absent for most of his life and died when he was 17. Leopold's nanny, Matilda Wantz, sexually abused him between ages 6 to 12. She encouraged him to break rules so long as his disobedience did not negatively impact her. She instilled warped ideas about sex, about theft, about right and wrong, about selfishness, and about secrecy. Following the death of his mother, Leopold believed there was no morality or meaning to existence, and that intelligence was the only trait worth cultivating. Leopold believed that anything that gave him pleasure was inherently justified. When it came to Loeb's childhood, psychiatrists on his defense team stated there had been a clear rupture between his emotional and his mental life before the age of 10. They pointed out that he had developed intellectually but not emotionally, and remained pathologically backward in his emotional makeup. This rupture suggests an early traumatic event. Loeb developed a fetish of committing crimes and then having the upper hand, having the details of the case that other people were unaware of. This fetish suggests that someone in his childhood may have inappropriately gained the upper hand over him. Check out part 3 for a deeper analysis.